Good morning, everyone. We continue here in KITZUR, HILCHOS, SHABBOS, the laws of Bishul, and we're talking about how to use an oven, a stovetop on Shabbos, where you want to put food on there before Shabbos begins that might not have been cooked, certainly at all or completely, and how we're allowed to do such a thing without worrying about adjusting the flame and the fire or the temperature in order for it to cook even more. And so we had two things yesterday. We spoke about grupa uketuma. One is where in the olden day ovens they would remove the coals, so you had no coals to play around with on Shabbos. Or ketuma, where you would actually cover up the coals with ashes and the like, or dirt, so that all you would have was the heat and you wouldn't be able to get to the coals anymore either. And that would be a way that you could put food onto the oven in order to leave it there before Shabbos, and it will cook throughout Shabbos. We're not worried about you adjusting things. What about our kiroi shalana? What about our ovens, our stovetops? When it comes to our ovens that are either gas or electric running, as best, a person needs to cover up the fire, the flames, with a tin, the blech, as we would call it, a piece of tin, a piece of metal. The covering, this kind of covering of the flames, is like the covering that they did in the ovens of the olden days. Like we said, when they would cover up the coals with ash and dirt and the like, and they would no longer access the coals on Shabbos, that was permissible. So to over here, if you cover up the fires with a blech, a metal blech or the like, so then you're doing the same exact thing. Like we said, covering the fire with the dirt and the ash and the like, that helps. It's understood. It's only going to help though if you cover up the fire with a tas, with a piece of metal, a blech, that you don't normally use to cook during the week. Because if not so, it wouldn't be any kind of a heker, any kind of a reminder to ourselves not to adjust the fire. To adjust the flame and raise it on Shabbos. If you would have a blech that you would use on a Tuesday, that you would on Tuesdays you also happen to cover up the fire with this piece of metal, and you end up cooking food on top of that blech on Tuesdays, and you adjust the flame so that it can be cooked faster or slower. So then, what kind of a hecker, what kind of a recognition, what kind of reminder do you have for yourself on Shabbos that you're not allowed to adjust the flame because you do it anyway? So therefore, that would not work. There's no difference between Shabbos and the weekday in such a case. Nevertheless, there's another way to do this. A person should cover the blech with tin foil as well. And there are those who hold that covering doesn't help at all. And there are those who say, do even more. First of all, you put the blech on top of the fire. Now again, assuming that you do not normally cook with a blech during the week, then you're good to go. You put the blech over, you put this metal blech over the flame. And additionally, he suggests over here that you cover up the knobs of the stovetop, so that you'll remind yourself, even if your hand goes to touch the knob, it's covered with tin foil, it's covered with some kind of a cap or something like that, or you remove on some things you can even pull off the knob, pull the knob off altogether. But he writes over here, if you just cover up the knob and don't cover the flame, that would be a problem. If you tie up the knob, which means you make it that it cannot move, or you cover it up with something like foil or the like, or there's no way that you could raise the fire. Unless you would start ripping off the tin foil or ripping off the cover that you have over it. Maybe you could even be lenient over here, even without covering the fire. That would work. Like we said before, if you seal up the doorway of the oven, like we mentioned yesterday, so that would also make it that you don't have to worry. You can put food onto the oven, to the stovetop. In such a case, maybe over here, if I just seal off the knobs properly or remove the knobs, I don't have to worry. Better not to do it like that. It seems to be really, you should put a blech, some kind of metal covering over the flame, and you should also cover up the knobs in order that you cannot adjust the flame on Shabbos. Have a wonderful day.